At the time of the story, I was working as a night security guard at an abandoned hospital. The old building had been vacant for years, its darkened corridors and empty rooms echoing with whispers of forgotten lives. My job was simple: patrol the grounds and ensure no unwanted visitors disturbed the peace. One stormy night, the wind howled like a wounded animal, and the rain lashed against the windows like 1,000 tiny fists. I began my rounds, the beam of my flashlight cutting through the darkness. Halfway through the east wing, I noticed a door that was usually closed, now ajar. Curiosity piqued. I pushed it open, and the hinges creaked like a mournful sigh. Inside the room was pitch black, save for the faint flicker of lightning through the grimy windows. I switched on my flashlight, the beam revealing a scene that chilled me to the bone. A figure stood huddled in the corner, its back to me. It was tall and gaunt, draped in a tattered hospital gown. My heart pounded in my chest, but my curiosity was stronger than my fear. I called out, my voice trembling slightly, "Who's there?" The figure didn't respond, but it slowly turned its head, its eyes glowing in the dim light. They were empty sockets, filled with a haunting darkness. A wave of terror washed over me, and I stumbled backward, my flashlight clattering to the floor. The figure moved towards me, its bony fingers reaching out. I scrambled to my feet, my heart pounding like a drum. I ran, not caring where I was going, just needing to escape the horrors of that room. I burst through the door, my lungs burning, my legs aching. I didn't stop until I reached the safety of my office, locking the door behind me. The storm raged on outside, but it was nothing compared to the storm of fear that raged within me. That night, I never finished my rounds. I huddled in my office, the events of the evening replaying in my mind. What was that creature? Why was it in the abandoned hospital? These questions haunted me, fueling my fear. In the end, I never found any answers. I quit my job the next day, unable to bear the thought of returning to that place. The memory of that night, the figure in the dark, the empty eyes, stayed with me as a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurk in the shadows. It was a sunny afternoon when I embarked on a solo hike in the sprawling Redwood National Park. The towering trees, with their ancient wisdom, filled me with a sense of peace and tranquility. I was lost in the beauty of nature, oblivious to the storm brewing on the horizon. The sky darkened abruptly, and a rumble of thunder echoed through the forest. I quickened my pace, hoping to reach my car before the storm hit, but the rain came down in sheets, drenching me in seconds. The wind howled through the trees, whipping the branches like angry arms. I stumbled along the trail, my vision blurred by the rain. The thunder grew louder, each boom shaking the earth beneath my feet. I was alone, lost in the wilderness, with a storm raging around me. Fear gnawed at my insides, threatening to overwhelm me. Suddenly, I saw a faint light flickering in the distance, a beacon of hope in the darkness. I ran towards it, my legs heavy, my lungs burning. As I got closer, I realized it was a small cabin, nestled in amongst the trees. With trembling hands, I knocked on the door. It creaked open, revealing a dimly lit room. A figure emerged from the shadows, its face obscured by the darkness. "Come in," a voice rasped, its tone both inviting and menacing. I hesitated, unsure whether to trust the stranger. But as the storm raged on, and the cabin offered shelter, I stepped inside. My heart was pounding in my chest as I did so. The door slammed shut behind me, the sound echoing through the silence of the cabin. Right when I turned to face the figure, it was gone. The room was empty now, save for a few pieces of furniture and a crackling fireplace. I felt a chill run down my spine, despite the warmth of the fire. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out. The cabin was plunged into darkness, save for the faint glow of the embers. I heard a noise behind me, a shuffling sound. I turned, and my heart leapt into my throat. Nothing was there, just shadows dancing in the darkness. I tried to convince myself it was my imagination, but the fear was real. I spent the rest of the night huddled by the fire, my eyes darting nervously around the room. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the wind outside, sent a jolt of terror through me. When morning finally came, I fled the cabin, not daring to look back. I ran through the forest, the sun shining through the trees, the storm a distant memory. But the events of the night still haunted me, a chilling reminder of the unseen terrors that lurk in the wilderness. My best friend Billy and I were 10 years old when we decided to explore the overgrown trails of the old city park. The sun was shining and the birds were singing, so we didn't think much of the dark clouds gathering on the horizon. Eventually we got deep into the woods, playing a game of hide and seek, and then the first rumble of thunder echoed through the trees. We paused, our laughter dying in our throats. The sky darkened, and a cold wind whipped through the leaves. We started to run, our sneakers pounding against the dirt path, but the storm was faster. The rain started coming down in torrents, blurring our vision and soaking our clothes. Lightning flashed, illuminating the twisted branches of the trees, making them look like monstrous claws reaching out for us. We continued to stumble along the path, our hearts pounding in our chests. The thunder grew louder, each boom shaking the earth beneath our feet. Eventually we had to admit to ourselves that we were lost, alone in the woods, with the storm raging around us. Suddenly Billy tripped and fell, his ankle twisting beneath him. He cried out in pain, his voice muffled by the sound of the rain. I knelt beside him, my own fear momentarily forgotten. "I can't walk," he sobbed, his face pale. I looked around, desperation rising within me. The storm showed no signs of abating. We couldn't stay here. I had to find help. I spotted a faint light in the distance, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. I told Billy to stay put, promising to return as soon as I could. I ran towards the light, my legs heavy, my breath coming in ragged gasps. As I got closer, I saw that it was an old abandoned house, its windows boarded up and its paint peeling. Hesitantly, I approached the door, my hand trembling as I reached for the knob. It turned easily enough, the door creaking open to reveal a dark and dusty hallway. I stepped inside, my heart pounding in my chest. The air was thick with the smell of decay. I called out, hoping someone would hear me, but the only answer was the echo of my own voice. I ventured further into the house, the floorboards creaking beneath my feet. I passed through a living room, its furniture covered in sheets, and then a dining room, its table set for a meal that would never be eaten. Finally, I reached a bedroom. The moonlight streamed through a crack in the boards, illuminating a figure huddled on the bed. I gasped, my blood running cold. The figure was small, covered in a tattered blanket. It turned its head slowly, its eyes glowing in the dim light. I screamed and stumbled back, my heart pounding in my chest. The figure rose from the bed, its movements jerky and unnatural. It moved towards me, its arms outstretched. I turned and ran faster than anything, my legs pumping, my lungs burning. I didn't stop until I burst through the front door, the storm still raging outside. I found Billy where I had left him, his ankle swollen and bruised. Together, we managed to limp back to the main path, our clothes soaked, our bodies shivering. Then we eventually found our way out of the park, the storm gradually subsiding. We never spoke of what we saw that night, including the figure in the abandoned house. But the memory still haunts us, a chilling reminder of the unseen terrors that lurk in the darkness.